Yeah, speaking of squirrels, well, let me introduce this show real quick. We're Arts and Adventure Summits the Airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I'm R. Brand along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
And we are your hosts for the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. And I'm feeling more confident with that statement, Todd. Like, I really feel like we're getting there. Like,
well, you've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and you're starting to be able to compare.
I only listen to this one.
Yeah. Then I would say it's a false confidence, but I think I would still agree with you.
Okay, good. We were speaking about squirrels, and now I don't know what I was going to say about that.
You were distracted.
I was distracted.
Yeah.
I was distracted.
Squirrel.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yes,
My
squirrels.
voice.
Your voice. So I posted this on Facebook that when Grandma's record collection went up for auction with the family or whatever, I grabbed all of the Christmas albums, right? And I grabbed it was the Osmond brothers when they were kids, and you guys know the Osmonds are from
Before
Ogden.
they've matured into those deep, low, voices.
Yeah.
Not sure who those are.
That's okay. You know, they were one of the first major boy bands, pop boy bands ever, the Osmonds. And they were from Ogden, Utah, which is wild.
Yep. I think there's 40, 60, 80 members of that family, and they're all musicians. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put the record on, and I put the needle on the record, and then I walked away, and I'm like, oh, I got the wrong speed. No, their vocals were so high, and it was like listening to the Chipmunks album. Those kids were young, and no vocals had dropped yet or anything, and I thought I was listening to the Chipmunks. It was pretty funny. I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, I don't know if I could listen to this again, because their vocals were so
I'd say congrats on making it through one time.
Both sides, A and B.
Nice.
I could have told you it was the Jackson 5. You would have believed me. Like, it was like except
I do
Jackson
like
5
Christmas
probably
albums,
had
though, so I'm sure it was
lower voices. We have our guests in studio with us this week. We have Tara Warren. Congratulations, Rocky Mountain Slam finisher. Yay! Where's my applause setup?
We could just do that.
Yeah.
No,
No! Wrong one. I don't know what happened there.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
Let's just do it again.
Yes, start again.
It's deserved.
Oh, yeah. It's deserved one.
Yep.
Completing the Rocky Mountain Grand Slam, Tara Warren. Yay!
There we go.
It's so much better than sad horn.
They're right next to each other. That's my bad. Oh, my God. It was terrible. But we will also be chatting, and Shannon Day is the timer for Running Up for Air. And that's coming up. Did you change the date? Is it earlier?
Yeah, February 28th.
February 28th.
And March 1st, which sounds like it's farther away, but they're just back to back because,
Okay.
February, March.
They go in order.
Yeah.
Still 24 hours.
24 hours. It's
Yeah,
not like,
But you're off duty tonight. You're not timing us. I can see you doing segments like tonight.
It's hard.
I need you to watch your time, fellas. I need you to watch your time here.
We'll get deep into that. Thanks for joining us. And then we're missing one other person from Running Up for Air, Monica Lee, who might be here, right? Later.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be here. Okay, and then we had her dad on a couple weeks ago. We now have America in with Sketchy Studios, the artist and student with some of her, look, that shot is beautiful because we have the art in the shot. We have the art up here on the ledge there. It makes the trailer look festive, and I absolutely love it. America, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name's America Lisbeth Cuevas Vasquez. I am one of the...
Did you get that, Brandon?
No.
Did you jot that down?
I got the America part, and the rest I wrote down.
I love it.
There we go. Yeah, I am a multimedia artist. I have my Instagram and my phone number there. Currently, I'm
the most prepared guest we've had. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Top five.
Top five, yeah.
I got nothing.
I got
I got Shannon.
I think after being
set the
on the
bar
show
really
5
high.
I'm
times.
just going to hang out. So.
Yeah.
Good. Have some water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That threw me off a little bit of the vibes.
There's going to be a lot of that.
Yep,
Yeah.
lots of that.
We'll keep
Yeah.
you on target, though.
Thank you, though. Yeah, I'm a community folk artist who focuses on a little bit of other mediums besides just paper mache and cardboard on making alebrijes, a really traditional art form in Mexico.
Your dad's an artist. Is that what inspired you, or did you just do your own thing as a kid?
Actually, I'm kind of the one that kind of inspired him, sorta. In a
You
way.
inspired him. That's a better story. Yeah.
The first one was actually his, which is technically my grandpa and his great grandpa.
Okay.
Wait, hold up. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sorry. It's hard to keep up the family names. It was first my great-grandpa, who was the first generation of mask makers. Then was my grandpa, which is technically his dad, who was the second generation. It's my dad's the third generation. I'm just the fourth generation of in a line of artists, if you will.
Yeah, and you do have some masks here. Now, those aren't wood. Are those paper mache?
Actually, those are wood. It was more of a collaborative work. My dad did one of the carvings of the masks. I did the decorative paintings of it. If you see the one on your, is it my right or left?
It's
my
right as we're looking at it. So,
oh, thank you. My right on the right corner where you see
above Todd.
Yeah, above Todd. I call that one the turquoise trickster. Has blue ribbons on it. That's where I added on it.
That's what Brandon calls me. So it's perfect.
Oh my god, that's so ironic.
The turquoise trickster.
But yeah,
Todd's new name.
But yeah, a little bit more about me is I'm a 20-year-old Weber State student, currently in my second year. I just finished finals. Woohoo!
Oh yeah, shout out to finishing finals.
Yeah, shout out to all my Weber State Wildcats. We all survived. We survived the trenches.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I worked at, I was letting you know, I worked at Weber State for about 6 or 7 years before I transferred over to the Arts Council down in Salt Lake City. And so my life was defined by semesters. And now I have no idea when's one starting, when one is finishing. I have calendar year and fiscal year. Those are the 2 years. And, and that's kind of all I focus on. And so you're wrapped in, is school over now?
It's
the semester's
over now.
done. Okay.
Yeah, we only have I feel like it's so short. It's just a 3-week winter break.
Okay. Yeah, 3 weeks pretty short.
Yeah, I know, right? I keep telling to my friends, I feel like it's too short. They're like, no, that's long enough.
All right, fair enough. What do you got plans for your break?
Actually, focus a little bit more on my my little small business of Sketchy Studios, which used to focus a lot of on alebrijes and other forms of selling art mediums, because originally started as a way of a bit of a fundraiser for myself, because I used to be a student in NDPA, or North Davis Prep Academy, where there was this fundraiser and going to a trip to Spain. And so it kind of started from there into growing more of the identity of Sketchy Studios. And
I like the sketchy part. That makes
thank you.
me smile, yeah.
Thank you, yeah. Because I've been, ever since I joined Weber State, it's been kind of in the rocky waters, ironically enough. Sketchy waters, Sketchy Studios.
Oh, see, I like that.
Yeah, I had to put that on the side because I had to focus on, putting priorities on one thing or another. And I had to value a lot of my grades as well, because I used to have, a higher GPA. Now I have, it's still pretty good.
Sketchy GPA.
It's just now, yeah.
Yeah, sketchy GPA, if you will. Luckily, I'm on the safe zone, so yeah.
Safe zone.
But I want to be focusing on these 3 weeks on organizing a bit more and focusing on making sure it reflects on my values of expressing my Chicano and my Latin American and Mexican heritage, as well as just I'm mostly known to make alebrijes ever since I guess started from high school, then later actually helped me jump aboard on Artes de Mexico in Utah, Leonardo Museum, a few festivals the Utah the Living Traditions Festival, Oaxaca in Utah, and those were some of the recent events I worked up with. I also done a little bit of community teachings, teaching the community from kids to teens to adults, and how to make an alebrije, which are these wonderful creatures.
Okay, what is that called again?
Alebrije.
Go on, Brandon.
I can't do it. I can't.
You have the English language,
Yeah,
90%.
man. Okay, I can't even speak English, let alone try to attempt that.
So we learned when your dad was in here a lot about masks and kind of where that came from. And so let's talk about the alebrijes a little bit and what that means.
I don't want to sound controversial. I love the movie Coco.
Okay.
But something that I always have to correct, not a lot of people, but
Hey, go hard against Disney. I don't care. Say what you got to say.
before I start, I'd still have a little bit beef with Disney because they tried trademarking Dia de los Muertos, the name.
Oh, they did? Really? I didn't know
fine.
That
that.
actually does sound like something they would want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's put that aside.
Okay,
All right, we'll put
yeah,
that-
put that aside.
Alebrije started from I think 1982 or somewhere a bit earlier some like in the 1920s or something like that, by a name named Pedro Linares, who was actually the first artist who made the alebrijes. It really depends on like if you like want to believe this legend or not, or like how he started it, because like the origins of it is either the guy had a really bad sickness or has gotten a heat stroke, went under a coma of 1 hour, woke up and started making these paper mache from his family that are still actually continuing this tradition to this day. In Mexico City. Said like at first these were like horrifying creatures that came out of your dreams. But when he gave more context to it, saying like I was in like this almost vibrant, dark, bioluminescent forest with these creatures constantly saying the word alebrije, alebrije, alebrije like 3 times.
That's a bad trip.
Beetlejuice.
Or high fever.
Or high fever. Yeah.
It could be a mix of all the
Beetlejuice.
I know.
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
All together.
I love that. But yeah, sorry, I lost myself a bit on there. But yeah, later from again a bit of opinions from his actually sons that are still continuing this tradition again. He added color to it.
It caught on. Apparently.
Yeah, it caught on a lot because hell, he even had like a scholarship or an awards of like the arts and science from the Mexican government.
Well,
because he always added like these 4 elements of like fire, water, earth, and wind in association with like the native wildlife that was in Mexico.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so these are fantastical creatures, all of them, or are they based in sort of natural creatures as well?
It really depends on like who you talk to person, especially with the styles of alebrijes as well. Like the reason why Coco says like, oh, they're like your spirit animals when you pass on the other life is because it's more like their take on the alebrijes instead of it being on facts, which I can understand why people would be like kind of like confused with it. Personally, from the information I've got, especially with like Linares' alebrijes, along with like the Oaxacan alebrijes, that started because Linares was doing workshops with the Oaxacan people because they had a tradition of using copal, which is like a sort of soft wood that was like sacred to those people in Mexico. And they
And then
didn't add the color.
you drink a lot of mezcal, and then you start painting, and then you
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, like the Oaxacan alebrijes have more of like, they added the color later on from the information that I have, because I'm still learning more about it.
Yeah. So
But for me, when I think of these alebrijes, I think of the colors. Like it's almost synonymous with these bright colors now. And I see that you are also a fan of bright colors as well. Now, these paper mache creatures are quite large that you brought in a handful of them. I think traditionally I'm more used to the teeny little
ones?
alebrijes.
we should bring the big one in. We can get.
Oh, we
Let's
should.
get. Yeah.
Does it
Where's
fit through the
Jose?
door? Can that fit through the door?
Let's bring the big one in.
But I've always been impressed with being able to paint at that tiny little scale. And
Can you
Yeah,
bring
it
the
takes a lot
big
of
one in?
skill.
it takes a lot of skill, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I guess in my personal perspective of like what I think an
Yeah, there, it's on camera.
is there we
It
go.
might not fit. We can get the head in. This is the coolest thing.
Careful.
Yeah, there it goes.
There we go.
Wow.
Oh, careful. Oh,
If it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then over there by her. Yep. So
There
it's
we
on
go.
on
Oh, I
camera.
love that.
yeah.
You can get it.
My personal opinion of like why is alebrijes so important in Mexico is because they're more of like a art movement that's representation of Mexico's pride and culture.
I like that. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Do you remember the first one that you made? How young were you?
Actually, these were mine is this third one over here. These two were actually my very first ones. They actually started in doodles.
Oh, wow.
It was like before the movie Coco, because that's where I was like starting to get more information of like what's an alebrije, because during that time as a Chicano kid growing up here in the United States, you always have the dilemma of like, I am born here in the United States, but yet I have Mexican roots all over there, and like it's not like a certain like type of like identity crisis, more like a certain type of homesickness for me personally. And I was like, okay, I want to learn more about my culture. Where do I start? I first started with like media of like how mostly people portray like Mexican culture to just finding more information about culture from like the myths, the histories, like the Mexican Revolution and all that. That's until I stumbled on these things when I was like in junior high. And so like it's first started from doodles, then later I just started making them like in reality. And yeah, it was a bit of a lengthy process, but yeah, all of it made out of cardboard and paper mache.
How long does something like this take to make? What's the process like?
Oh, that is a really great question. Usually, like, really depends on the sizes. Smaller ones, like, really depend. Like, sometimes they would take like maybe a month or 2 months. Larger ones, like, oof. Like, sometimes they're a bit more easier depending on their form. This one like took like maybe a month. This one took me 2 months because I was still figuring out like the ears, the horns, and the tail. But the painting process, oh, that takes kind of longer depending on like how much detail I want to add. Yeah.
What? Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Do you carve those yourself, the smaller ones, in the wood?
It was more of a bit of a collaborative work
Cool.
between me and my dad, or like with other businesses, but also like, yeah, he mostly helps me with like carving like the alebrijes. I just focusing on painting and giving life to them. But the cardboard ones mostly are me.
I love that. Well, they look amazing. Thank you so much for bringing these in.
Thank you so much for allowing me to bring these in. If any has any more questions, just feel free to ask me.
Well, your
course.
Instagram is Sketchy Studios. Is that right? How do we follow you?
Yes. Sorry. It's because I kind of like haven't added so much onto it lately, especially ever since in university.
Yep.
But
That's a good excuse.
now is a good excuse to add more to it. But yes. You can follow me because I have my information on top between the little box and some of the painted masks that I've painted. Over there's my phone number if you want to contact me, if you guys want any more commissions, or also my Gmail over there. What else? And also there is my username of my Instagram, which is Sketchy_Studios.
I'll tell you what, super prepared. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, thank
Very
you so
cool.
much.
I just wanted to know why you started or how you got to paper mache, because your dad was working in wood, right? And then, so why did you start with the paper mache?
Where to start? I kind of started doing paper mache when I was like maybe 12 or 13, but I've always been quite artistic ever since I was like, since I grew my very first, I was able to grab like my first pencil in preschool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it started from there when I started drawing this like
The doodles.
The doodles, yeah.
Yeah.
The doodles, and like we had this like small assignment of like, draw like an apple tree. I don't know why it was an apple tree there during each 4 seasons, but I kind of didn't want to follow that because I want to implement it. Like a recent trip, I went to Mexico with my grandmother, my dad's side, where they had like this apple tree, and I implemented this sort of story there with kind of the seasons, except I was pretty sure there was no snow during the winter seasons in Mexico, so I added more rain because that was little me trying to like connect the dots.
Yeah.
And I guess it started from there with I wouldn't say my obsession because I don't think that's the appropriate word for that. I guess my hyperfixation on trying to tell a story through my art. Then later, and more further on, towards like junior high, that's when I started like adding more about my culture in my most of works, because I used to work with paintings, drawings, any form of mediums that I found interesting, although I enjoyed the process of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word obsession, because I think we have someone in the trailer that had an obsession earlier this summer.
Yeah, Todd.
Todd, you want to expand a little bit on that?
Every day. I'm still processing so much of it, so I'm just not ready to talk about it. But you understand that, don't you? Yeah. Brandon, I don't know if I ever told you. So I had, I believe it was at the end of last year, I had Oaxaca and Utah, the group that did an exhibition in both sides of the gallery down at Finch Lane. Anyway, got to know that group really, really well. But we set up a couple of workshops, and one of the workshops was a ollie brije. So we each took turns, and I painted very badly. I just can't work small. I just can't, as much as I'd like to. I think to scale these larger ones would be a lot more fun for me to paint. But then the other workshop, and of course I had to take both of them, was piñata, right? And And I don't know the last time. Have you worked paper mache yourself, Brandon? Like, when was the last time you played with paper mache?
I was mentioning before the show that I think I helped Uncle Joe. Everyone knows Uncle Joe. Built built a train track that went around a Christmas tree, and he was spending all summer doing this thing, and he built the mountains that the train goes through out of paper mache. And I remember
this was a few years ago.
It was like 100 years ago, but I remember thinking like, this is the coolest way to form things, because you use a paste and you can just shape it, and it becomes whatever you make it you want it to be. And I thought it was an awesome medium to work with.
Yeah, I was.
But no, I've never really worked with it.
I was so impressed with it. Yeah, it is fun and traditional and messy and all the good things that you want. And but we had I think the workshop ended up being about 3.5 hours, and we constructed a full. I think I had the 5 points, traditional, and I think I made it to 4 points because it's short on time, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, we included the paper, and I mean it was every step of the way. But I was incredibly impressed with the detail and the fact that so many Mexican artists that are able to produce at a level that I can only imagine. But then also the sheer volume. That if they did nothing but just paint, say, alebrejas, or they create piñatas, how many they could create over the course of like an afternoon or a day or something. Well, anyway, the next time you go to buy something handmade and you're fighting them on a price, give them extra, because it's worth them more, not less.
I'm looking at these, and these are not piñatas, but it's like, could you imagine taking a bat to something like this? I mean, that's essentially like what...
Yeah, like she's holding her chest like...
No, there's no way.
Maybe not these ones, but paper mache in general.
Paper mache is, it's still, they spend a lot of time to make them correctly, right? A lot of time to make those, and then they just like... All right, let's ruin it now. My God.
Yeah, well, I also learned too that originally piñatas were made out of clay. So imagine that.
Oh my God, really?
Party.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, how dangerous that was back in the day.
You remember my situation with my boy in opinion? That did not go well.
No, not at all.
Did not go well.
Nerf and anything soft would be good on that day. Yeah.
Something else I want to talk about more about like the paper mache is in Mexico there is a term to people like who focus on their work or their livelihood on making paper mache works. The term in Spanish is called cartonero, which translates to like cardboard worker. And so Pedro Linares was himself a cardboard worker too, un cartonero. And like that's how he was able to like sculpt these magnificent creatures, because he used to actually sculpt Judas figures, which they would like burn every April as a way of like taking away the bad luck from Judas and bringing in like the good and like the prosperity along with it.
Oh, I love that. All the stories are so nice. Well, thank you again. Feel free and jump in, if you have any questions for these other ladies as well.
America, you're a treat, and I'm glad you're representing Ogden and Weaver State.
Thank you
with your
so
arts.
much.
Yeah, because you're an art major there.
Graphic design major.
Yeah,
so
graphic
that up
design.
as well.
BFA with an emphasis of graphic design. Almost getting there. And I guess maybe not a final message, but like I guess a message to all artists who wants to be an artist. Right now there's like lots of art mediums, art programs that is possible to make a bunch of art. Don't always have to worry about like Adobe, because that's expensive. Like $200? No, that's like so expensive. And so like there's always free alternatives, and sometimes those free alternatives are like way more better. Might not probably say it right now, but not to like, I guess gatekeep. Like there's like Procreate, there's Inkscape, and many more, and you could probably find more of them with a lot of right resources. So yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
We're in a time where anybody can be an artist with the right determination and right, like
nailed it, Todd.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we say the same thing about podcasters. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
Oh man.
Right?
Anybody can do it. I mean, look at us. I mean, look
Think
at
about
us.
how we started,
We're still here.
The tools we were using then and what we're using now.
Tara's like, you guys haven't improved at all in 10 years. She's like, I've been coming here for 10 years. It's the same story. But we have a sponsor.
Do you?
And it's not Ketos, but it is. Let's see. I can't focus it. But they won. This is one of the winners. This Pale Ale, this Keto's Pale Ale, and then also the Keto's Blonde Ale were winners.
I'm going to open up.
Were winners. The golden, what is it called? The Gold Medal Award winners. And then you'll see on this shot here, I've got the Salt and Hops thing up there, the little logo up there. So these are sold at Salt and Hops. It is a local 7-day-a-week craft beer convenience store over on 27th Street. So if you're looking to impress your beer drinking friends this holiday season, cruise on over to Salt and Hops on 27th Street. Also, if you have friends that partake in, like, say, they have barware, there's some really nice barware there for awesome gifts for the season, because that stuff's kind of hard to find sometimes. And then they have unique beers that they literally drive around the state and pick up and bring back to the store, because not all of the breweries in the state of Utah have the means to ship up to Ogden or ship around the state. So sometimes you got to go drive around and pick them up. And so you can go to that store, Salt
It's
and
a good
Hops.
place to try something new.
Try something new. The workers there are awesome. Tell them kind of like the beers that you like, and they'll point out some good beers. But these are gold medal winning beers from Keto's, and so that's why we're drinking these here tonight. So thanks, Mary,
Mary,
so
good
much for
choices,
these.
as always.
And Keto's is one of my favorites in Utah as well. So, all right, Tara, you did a thing this summer.
I did a thing. And
Congrats.
everybody can do that too.
Yeah,
Just
that's true.
like
I don't think that's true at all, actually.
Before we get started, I was going to ask Brandon. All right, Brandon, so what'd you do this summer? What that you could remember that you did? And then we're going to just do a quick comparison.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I went
It'll
to
make you feel good.
I went to Florida for 2.5 weeks.
All right.
And I sat by the pool. Tara, what'd you do?
I didn't go to Florida.
No?
I hit
Okay.
a couple other states.
You did.
did.
Yes, I hear you spent some time in the Rocky Mountain area.
I did. Yeah. Including
Move
a
that
lot
mic
of Utah.
a little closer to you there. Yeah.
Including a lot of Utah.
A lot of Utah.
Which was great.
So for those who don't know, Tara Warren is what they call an ultra runner, which means not longer than a marathon, specifically like 100 miles at a time. When was the last time you ran a race that was less than 100 miles? Or is that your...
that's a hard question to answer.
I mean,
I can't remember.
You've had to bail from races before at less than 100 miles, but the last time you entered a race that was less than 100 miles, it's been a while.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
So you've done this, and then you had a reason to try to really do something big this summer. Do you want to kind of explain what that was about?
Thanks. And thanks for having us again. And to follow up, the last time I was here, we talked a lot about that, and I was kind of just getting started, I believe. And so I finished this Rocky Mountain Slam at the end of September, which included 400 milers. I did this Bighorn 100, which was in Sheridan, Wyoming, and then Hard Rock 100, which was a doozy in Silverton, and then Wasatch 100 that started here in Kaysville, runs to Soldier Hollow, and then the Bear was the big finale. And so about 400 miles, close
in
to
one summer,
and then close to 100K in vertical climbing.
Yeah.
And the coolest part for me was the opportunity to raise over 16K for the ALS Association. And that was just blew my mind, the generosity of the running community and different brands and groups I work with.
And that didn't start like that. Like, it built up throughout the process, right?
It did. And, everyone kind of just joined in, and we had like a huge challenge grant from Hoka at the end where they matched 5K. That was
awesome.
It was crazy
Thanks,
good.
Hoka.
Yeah. And so that was really fun. And the parallel was that the last woman to complete this Rocky Mountain Slam was in 2016.
Let's talk about how difficult this is. So 2016 was the last time a woman finished it, and that was the year your mom passed of ALS.
Yeah. Yep. So it was good to complete, but it was hard in a lot of different ways I didn't know it would be. I mean, physically it was hard, and that I kind of assumed, that was going to happen, and all those things. But
emotionally, how'd you hold up?
Yeah, it was rough. Honestly, like even the weeks in between the different races changed a lot. So between the last two races was only 3 weeks, and was physically daunting, but
because you got to recover from the last one,
Yeah.
which takes what, a week or two to recover.
It was like an 8-day turnaround for me to be like ready, in quotes, right?
Right.
Like just to go again. But I actually couldn't get myself to prepare for the last race. It was really weird. My family was so kind and patient with me. It was just really, that was just hard. It was on edge, and you put a lot out there, and you do it.
But there's a lot of
And,
variables.
yeah.
There's not your body. You don't know, right?
You don't know.
You don't know, and the nutrition, what it's going to do to
weather.
you, the
You don't know
weather,
The weather, right? The
Yeah.
weather.
How many of those 4 races had you completed previously?
2.
Bear
And Bighorn.
and Bighorn. Okay,
Yes.
so you'd never done Wasatch?
I never, because they were so close together. Like, who would do that? Like,
Yeah, right.
why would you do that?
Crazy. And Hard Rock, I hear is tough.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Is it?
And that's
Yeah.
the one that's tricky to get into, that
Right.
took forever to
Right.
get into. And so
Yeah,
that kind of,
that was this Trail Runner article that I found from last year. It says reviving ultra running's toughest challenge, a small subset of Hard Rock 100 runners stretched to complete a superhuman series, and they go on to talk about the slam because in 2023 there was 3 people or something that did. So how many people how many people complete the slam per year? Do you know?
it's been different every year. I think, gosh, that's a good stat. I know this year there were 6 of us.
Oh, that's big. That's a lot.
It's big.
Yeah.
They added another option.
Okay.
So it was, like you didn't
Another
have
race.
to. Yeah. So you didn't have to qualify, you didn't have to get into lottery races to have the options available.
Yeah.
When previously it was almost like a given. Like you had to get picked from a couple of the different races, which were lotteries.
Yeah.
So
That's-
that made it helpful.
Sure.
But yeah, the OG Grand Slam was actually only Hard Rock specific, and then it went around other races, and then Leadville became a lottery, and then the Wasatch is a lot. So there's a lot of that. So it's it's been up and down with how many people have participated, but getting more females to participate in 100 milers, and especially in this capacity in the Grand Slam, or the Rocky Mountain Slam, sorry. The Grand Slam is a different series.
Yeah. Yep. Rocky Mountain Slam.
So Rocky Mountain Slam, that's really something that I want to focus on going forward, and just getting more women to race, and which has been cool because with this race that we're putting on for the 6th year here in Ogden, last year we had
Running Up for Air.
We had a higher percentage of women than men who ran it, which was awesome, and that just happened naturally, which
Yeah.
was great. So that's always a fun thing, because there's just an amazing community out there of everybody getting involved, and yeah, it's just fun to.
Do you
to bring
know
that here?
Do you know how many people you've inspired to start trail running?
Like 3,
Stop.
100.
4,
300.
Couple.
Yeah.
couple 2, 3.
You've got it. It's
Not
got-
my kids.
Well, they do sports. They're active. I mean,
Yeah.
they do other things. But when did you know you're like, I think I might be able to complete this? I think I'm going to do this.
Yeah, good question. I think it was
On the last race
After-
or before?
It was after Hard Rock when I just finished. And I mean, that was hard. I think I had so much into it emotionally that I was worried I was going to. And I kind of started the season injured. I had some injuries, but those kind of worked themselves out. And then once I finished Hard Rock, which was, I don't know, the hardest on paper to do, I thought, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
But whether I like walk it in or shuffle it in or compete, we'll see kind of how that goes. But I had to leave all that out on the table and just focus on finishing and not stress about, how fast am I going or what am I doing?
Come on, you're a competitor. Does that enter your head? It's like,
yeah.
oh man.
There goes another one.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. Totally. And you just have to suck it up and be like, hey, focus. Like, here's the goal. Like, here's the plan.
Well, and that's maybe their one and only race of the year that they
Right.
are training for and doing.
Right.
And that one.
No one is doing 4 in a row. And so that's got to
only
be
6 of them are.
Yeah, that's got to be that's a mental
girls,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, and no girls. Yeah.
So I won, basically.
You did.
I won. Yeah. Yay.
Oh my.
Yes, drink to that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Those are the races, the attrition races, and the ones that I'm the only woman. That's how you do it.
That's why I quit doing Rufa and started volunteering, because the year I did it, there were only 3 women that did the 24-hour. So I was guaranteed a cup and a spot on the podium.
That's fantastic.
It
how
was
you do
like,
it.
Yeah.
slim
Well,
fit.
now that you're the timer, maybe you can guarantee yourself something.
It'd be pretty obvious.
No. Yeah.
Well, Tara, what did you learn? I mean, that's you changed as a person this summer. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You went through some stuff.
I did.
How'd
You want me
come
to
out?
share that?
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I mean, there's so much, and I don't want to get emotional kind of going there, but it's amazing what we can do. It's truly amazing, even when we don't want to. And again, it sucks for my kids. It really does. My poor kids, they don't want to hear that. Like, well, I ran 100 miles in this rain,
Uphill both ways.
uphill. I walked.
What's your excuse?
Yeah.
I don't want to empty the dishwasher.
We live a half a mile from school. You put your shoes on and
Yeah.
go. No, I mean, things like that.
That might
of
be the
course.
motivation for me to run 100 miles. Just so my kids have no excuses.
Yeah, no, well, they do. No, but I mean, there's just the physical things that I learned. I learned how to manage nutrition versus sleep versus fatigue. I learned new terms like fatigue resistance, which that's a new one. Can you
Yeah.
believe that's an actual
Sure.
dynamic
Yeah.
in your physicality?
Interesting.
You become fatigue resistant. Which, again, not a good word to use when you're talking to teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You should be fatigued. No, just so much. And I think above all, it's just the generosity of strangers. And I didn't know that every time somebody donated, they had the potential of on the ALS site where they would donate directly, which is still active, als.org/runwithtara. They could write a message. And I didn't know that until I happened to go there one day just to see where we were with our balances. And messages like nothing before.
Awesome.
And it was a lot to go through and to read just the kindness of strangers and what they thought. I learned about people who had different relatives and best friends and acquaintances who have lived with ALS and have passed from ALS and dedicated different things to them. And that felt like a responsibility a little bit at sometimes.
Yeah.
And, but I think overall it was just accomplishing a sweet, sweet goal and trying to remember all the details at the end. Because how
did you document it? Besides Instagram, or you had people follow?
Yeah, I had a good friend, Scott Hickenlooper, who came around with a camera. That was super gracious of him to donate his time, and then, and I definitely want to talk more about Rufa. I'm embarrassed to talk so much about.
No, I know. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about Rufa.
So I had a chance encounter with a new good friend whose mother also passed from ALS recently. And again, hard to kind of talk about this and put into words. And my story was introduced to her through an acquaintance, and she's actually the managing director at Camp 4 Collective.
Oh, interesting.
And so they approached me,
That's huge.
and so they have been by my side all
cool,
even currently, and
awesome.
We've got some fun things in the works, and they're.
Well, without giving that stuff away, when you complete something big like that, and Todd and I might relate because we finished 5Ks in the past.
Let's just breeze through that. Keep going.
You always think that was dumb and I'm never doing that again, and that you go through the phase of that part, and then once that's over, you circle back around to like, okay, now what? So where are you at?
Where's that too soon?
Is that the
next?
question?
Yeah.
What's next is running it for air in February.
One thing at a time. You are.
That actually
she can't
is-
not pitch, can she?
Yep.
But that is actually what's next.
It is what's next
So
on the calendar.
What am I doing personally next? I mean, I've got a lot of things in the hopper. I don't know. It's my kiddo's senior year, and he is a contender in the mountain biking world with NICA.
I love that.
This next season.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is Ogden High proud, and we'll see where that goes. So I want that to be kind of our focus.
Yeah, I guess the
this
question
summer.
is, I didn't know if you feel that was like, okay, I'm good, I'm done, and now it's like focus on the kids' time, or if there's more out there for you to do. If you feel that energy, I think there's more for me to do.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I feel super content.
Good.
Like it could be done now.
Good. Yeah.
But will I keep going? Absolutely.
Yeah, because you can't stop. You can't stop. So running up for air is when. So we got the dates on that. Tell us the dates again, and where those dates are being like where what it is, why we do it.
Yeah. So just a little quick recap again for the new listeners.
Yep.
Running It for Air is an endurance event that was created in Salt Lake about 11 years ago when Jared Campbell, Barkley Marathon finisher Jared Campbell, he went to continue to run and train through the winter, and the only area to get out of the gunk, out of the smog, out of the not fog.
We're not from Utah. We have these smog layers that
It's not fog, people.
it's not
Not
fog.
fog.
It's
It's,
not fog,
pollution.
it's pollution. Yeah, it sucks.
So but don't.
In case you
breathe
didn't
in.
know.
Don't breathe
Yeah.
in.
Don't breathe in. So the whole point was getting up for air,
for air.
getting above the inversion
Yep.
to have safe training where the AQI is better. And so he created this event.
What does that mean? Safe drink for your lungs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the air particulates, when they're too high, they actually get into your lungs and cause damage.
Damage to your lungs.
And some people are
Not
more
good.
susceptible than others, like asthmatics, etc.
Yeah.
So like I'm usually better with that, but my husband who has asthma, he's greatly affected by high particulates. So we're a little bit better on the map in Ogden because we have kind of the swoosh, the way our mountains are set up. But when it gets super bad in Ogden and Davis, or in Salt Lake and Davis, we kind of get that meandering up into our area.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. And so this race was created in Salt Lake again to raise awareness. And he started donating the money he would get just from betting friends, how much he could go up Grandeur Peak. And he would
Grandeur,
donate
yeah.
that to some clean air charities in Utah. So
Love
it became bigger and bigger, and I started going down to Salt Lake to do the race. And I thought, well, that's funny. Why am I, driving and putting my car?
You're putting two and two together here, and it's
Like,
like,
well,
what can we do in Ogden?
Yeah, it seems silly.
Yeah.
So we have a 6 mile round trip route, which I know you guys are familiar with, up to Malin's Peak.
Yeah.
It's about 2,300 feet climbing. And 7 years ago, we started it, minus the COVID
It's been
year.
that long already?
I know, right?
Holy cow.
Where does the time go?
That's, awesome.
So this is our 6th year.
Yeah.
And we've increased each year. This is my 3rd year of having a wonderful team around me, and Shannon is a part of that. And I have Monica, who might be joining us.
Yeah.
And then I have I'm drawing a blank. I have Shani Weston from Salt Lake, and I have Brandon and Amy Musgrove from here in Ogden, and we make this great team, and we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
And we have, our race is about between 120, 130 people, over 70 volunteers, and just a great time.
And just to clarify, people can enter, and they can, if you only do it once, go up the
yes.
hill and go back down, it's okay, right? Like you don't have to do the whole thing, like the whole timeline.
No, and that's
Yeah.
a good point. So the race is either you pick a 3-hour, 6-hour, 12 or 24-hour time slot, and then you start it at the same, everyone starts at the same base, but there's staggered times throughout this 24-hour period, and you do as many laps as you like to.
Yeah.
And some ceremonially do one and just donate as a charity, because all of our funds go to Breathe Utah.
Yeah, I turn down your
There you
mic.
go.
You're good, America.
You're good.
Yeah,
You're
you're good.
Let it fly. You're totally good. But yeah, so all of our money goes to Utah Clean Energy and Breathe Utah. So they're just great, active charities in our state. And we would love if there was a more local Weber County or Ogden clean air charity. We would donate directly to that too.
So there's not one that we
hit us
know
up.
of. Okay.
No, I think Weber State has some good initiatives with that, and I'd like
Yeah.
to explore that a little more.
Yeah.
But as far as like just an active nonprofit to kind of like share that with, that would be awesome. I would
Yeah.
love that. I'd jump on that.
Anyone can enter, I guess.
Anyone can enter.
Okay.
We have all kinds of people
Yeah.
and ages.
We had 3
and-
kids under the age of 12 last year. Right?
We did.
About
Yeah.
3 or 4 kids. My son did a lap.
He did.
That was fun. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Shannon, you're the timer, meaning
She's the timing director.
right. So she's right.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep.
Clarify
You're
that.
dead.
Yep.
Timing director.
Timing director.
Way
Check your
big.
notes.
Big time.
Yeah.
Not in my notes.
Every year it's like exciting to find out what official title
You're gonna have
give
next?
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
She got a raise.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
totally put that in the notes.
Yeah.
Timing director.
Can I put that on my resume?
Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds really professional. Yes,
Yes.
add it to your resume.
She
Yeah,
is.
it sounds good.
And you
Actually,
started
hour
by
20.
timing your family
Yeah.
somewhere.
I think I just showed up. I'm a little bit of a I just kind of jump in, and I think I showed up as just a volunteer for shifts. So part of the volunteering is there's some of us that are like more in charge of something, like me in charge of timing, but then we also have shifts that other people.
You're the TD.
Yeah, so other people can sign up and do like 4-hour shifts throughout the day, because it takes more than just a small team to pull this off.
And by the way, it's in February. There's weather. And it's chilly.
Yes,
So,
it's cold.
It's so cold.
And
When you're not running.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of standing around in the cold. And so I showed up for my shift, and I think I saw a few problems, or I was like probably just a control freak micromanager.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I was like, hey, Tara, let me tell you about all this things I can improve or whatever.
I got some notes.
I got some notes. Threw some people under the bus. No. But I just wanted it to be great, and I didn't want to let her down. And so before I knew it, I think my 4-hour shift turned into like an 18-hour shift. And then Tara was like, why don't you just come do this next year? Okay.
Yeah, we need people like you. What do you do for a living?
I do occupational therapy at McKay Hospital.
Do you manage a team?
No.
Maybe you should.
maybe
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I manage my kids real well.
That's the
I'm
team.
real bossy at
Yeah.
home. Yeah. Just ask my kids, my husband.
Okay, but you did run it the first few.
I did it in 2020. It was like weeks before the universe shut down for COVID.
Yeah.
And it was that your second year? Second,
I think so.
Maybe second, third year.
Yeah.
So the pool of people was much smaller, and at the time I was much fitter and more into the running community. I'm a little bit of a shapeshifter, so now I like to volunteer.
Oh, I'm totally
I put
stealing
on a
that.
little bit of like warmth is what I'm calling
Warmth,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
I can but yeah, I did I don't know how to do things in the middle. People would say, why don't you sign up for the 3-hour or the 6-hour? Well, why would you?
Because there's a 12.
If there's a 24-hour solo. So why?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can run for 3 hours. So why wouldn't I, as never running a trail run, like a trail race ever before, why wouldn't I
fantastic.
sign up for the 24? So
Yeah.
that's what I did. My original goal, I think, was 10 laps. That quickly, like, I humbled myself. The goal was 8. I think I came out at 7.
That's
Happy with that.
fantastic. By the way, Maylands is
Thank you.
not easy. Yeah, that's it.
It breaks you every time.
What's the record on for that race?
You want it?
You take the all-time record, and then
And this is for laps.
yeah, for
for
laps
time.
in the 24-hour.
So last year,
Last year, Heidi Waddups, she won the overall in the 24-hour event with 13 laps, which was the new women's course record, which is insane.
To give you an idea,
count that
like
on your fingers.
most.
real quick. So 2,300 feet times 13.
Hold that mic over there. Yeah.
Sorry. So 2,300 feet times 13. Go there real quick. And that's how much vert she did in less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours. And so as an ultra runner, it's pretty damn impressive.
It's crazy. And then 6 times 13. I can't even do that. Yeah, that's a lot. This many.
I can't open my
70 some
phone,
odd
so
miles,
there's
yeah.
that.
Right there. And one of the
It was 2,300
2,300 times
times 13.
And 78 miles.
So almost
78 miles.
29.9. So about 30,000
yeah,
vertical feet within 24 hours.
which is more than those 100 milers that I did. This
Then all four?
than
any of them.
singularly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I think what brings us
Oh my
all together,
God.
I know.
That's a steep.
Shout out to Heidi.
Yeah.
Love you, Heidi. The crazy thing that brings us all together is that the whole time you're kind of passing each other on the trail, politely, hopefully. And
With elbows.
yeah, like, get out of the way. But I think it's this camaraderie with the purpose.
Yeah.
And that, like, I don't know, like me personally, I mean, I'm a mom, I run, but I'm not like an activist. I'm not out there waving a flag for clean air. This is something I can do.
Yeah.
And that anybody can do that's not political.
That's fun.
It's just I'm
Raises
making
money.
a difference. Yeah. So like my registration goes to good people that make a difference. And I don't know where to even start if I were to try to make a difference. So this is a good place to start, is kind of how I look at it. And rather than doing nothing, I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
So we're going to run up and down the mountain.
It's beautiful. And for those who don't know, I mean, it gets so bad. So
Yeah.
it's crazy because in Ogden, you'll wake up one day and like January or February, and like, oh, it's cloudy out. And then someone will run a drone up, or you'll go to a ski resort where the lift goes up the mountain, and you look and you're like, oh my God, it's a gorgeous sunny day. But if you're in town, you think it is a cloudy, horrible day because the inversion is just horrific. And and that's what we're trying to help and clear up here.
Or it's like 10 degrees in Ogden, but if you go up to even the top of Malins, which is at 6,800 feet, or if you go up to Snow Basin, it's like 40. Because
the sun hits.
Because it's inverted.
Yeah,
that's the
it's
inversion. It's
inversion.
actually inverted.
Yeah.
Unreal. It kind of also doesn't help that, especially here in the U.S. and in Utah too, like our roads are built to be heavily reliant in cars, and so like just hearing like how you find this as like this small form of control to like hope for change, it's like really inspiring, but also like. Having to live with the reality that we have to live with this smog, and also having to live with the idea that our Great Salt Lake, which is our greatest iconic place ever, is shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
And do a lot of the proceeds, they send people, or some of these the groups and activists, they are going and trying to push for better and more public transit and things like that at the state capitol level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they do a lot of different legislation, a lot of people, movers and shakers up in Capitol Hill to do that.
We had Amy on last week talking about the lake,
nice.
and it was
in
her efforts. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, what does Monica do? She's not here yet. We don't know if she'll make it. Monica Lee running for. She's not the TD.
She is not.
TD is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Monica is the, I wouldn't say executive director, maybe executive director.
Let's do it.
Of the aid station, which means that she is the drink and food specialist.
Yeah.
So we have hot food. We have so much great stuff donated from local vendors, local businesses that are health code compliant. Yes, thank you. And
important.
Yes, mention that. And so she just makes sure that's all out all the time. She manages that. You know, she's got to check the temperatures of the food and keep the waters going, keep the liquid fuel going, and we have our volunteers that she manages that help to do that, because there's shifts of different people running, or I wouldn't say participating, all through the night. The next morning, new people coming in. So it continually changes, and so we have to have a variety of different food. And
that trail is unique. I mean, Ogden is awesome because of the access to our trails, and you can run that trail, and when you get to the top, you can like see the Del Taco. Like you can see all the food in town, and you want something to eat when you get up there. And so that's why we have. Monica, she's the one. She's our girl.
She's doing a good job.
But not necessarily table full of Del Taco, but
not necessarily. Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you what got me my fastest lap was a quesadilla and a Coke. Like I was struggling. I had hit a wall.
Yeah.
It's hard to eat when you're in the middle of the night. You're freezing cold. You're exhausted, and that warming tent and a quesadilla
at the top, right?
At the bottom.
Oh, it's at the bottom. Yeah. Okay.
I made the mistake of stopping at the top. Don't do that. You freeze instantly. But yeah, they have a variety of foods. What's great, and I showed up not knowing that and trying to prepare all of these things for 24 hours of nutrition, but you don't have to. So that's another great thing about it for beginners. If you've never done a race before, or you've never done sort of an extended, or an ultra or anything like that, it's easy. You're never more than 3.5 miles away from home base station where you have volunteers waiting to hand you food. Yeah. What do you need? You want some pickle juice? You want a sandwich? You want some soup, a pierogi, whatever. So you're really well taken care of as an athlete.
Pierogi sounds really good.
It's really nice. Totally. Yeah. So that's one of the nice things too, is they take really good care of you no matter how many laps you're doing.
How do people like Heidi inspire people that are doing like the one lappers? You know what I mean? Like how
man. Whew. All you have to do is just look at them, right? Because their determination is just uncanny, and they have a different bib on, so you know that they're in that category of race, like 24 hour.
The platinum bib.
And I don't know. I think it just goes without saying, like, you know who they are. And I think one of the coolest parts too is that we have a culmination of races that all end at 6 p.m., including the 24-hour race, because it's 24 hour.
Yeah.
And we have a 12-hour race that could potentially end there if people continue to run. Like, you can stop running at any time, which is fine. But everyone's ending near 6 o'clock. So kind of that golden hour between like 3:30 or 4 and 6 p.m.
So the cutoff is before 6.
Is 6 p.m.
The cutoff to do another lap.
You can,
how does that work?
You have to be back
by 6. Okay.
Yeah. So there's just exciting chaos and people flailing around trying to get down by 6 and get another lap, and everyone's there, like all the families are there and everyone's cheering, and it's just a really fun time, and it's usually a bit warm at that, hopefully. Usually the sun's kind of dipping right below the retaining tanks. It's awesome. And
if you're familiar with
it's right there, and the apartment building, and I don't know, it's such a cool vibe there, because people at that point are just throwing it all on the line. And then there's me and Shannon and the rest of our team, where we're like, I don't even know what time it is, really. Like, you've
been up 24 hours.
Yeah, so it's a different thing. It's different when you're competing, and you have like the adrenaline and the juice flowing. Actually, but when you're standing around, you're just kind of like, there's times when we'll pass each other, and it's like, But I mean, we try to nap here and there, but it's never really very effective. Like your last year was funny. But but
there's almost like a holy grail to the now 24-hour runners, where watching Heidi come in, her kids were there, her husband was there. We were all kind of watching the clock, because it was coming down to a couple minutes, I think, for her to come down and make that cutoff to set the course record. And I don't think there was a dry eye in the place.
Is she like training all summer? Like, what is she doing?
I don't know, but I'm inspired that she's a mom. That's what I saw first and foremost. Was she's a mom out there doing it, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, speaking for Heidi, I'm speaking for you. She's just a very talented, very humble human, and she has a lot of natural gifts, and she does a lot of ultra trail events, and she's done Ironman. Like, she's naturally gifted and puts herself out there daily. And I mean, what did she do last year to prepare? I don't think she ran a lot of Malins. I think she saved some of that up for when the race was, if I remember correctly.
Wild.
But that's what some people will do. That some people you'll find out there on like this past Saturday, I was out there kind of around 7-8 a.m. and there were, I think I passed probably 25, 30 people.
It's a popular trail,
and everyone's out there getting ready for Rufa. And you plan on taking an extra hour, because you know that there's lots of high fives and friendly faces out there, which is just, our community is just pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, congrats, Todd.
One last thing that kind of stuck with me. So you said about 70 people volunteers to help put this together. And so we've highlighted a few of the positions, a few of the crucial positions, of course. But what are we missing? Like, I want to know what goes behind the scenes, because to me, it floors me. I'm a kind of an arts administrator on that side, so I like to do the behind the scenes things. But for the most part, unless somebody asks, they don't even know what those people are doing. And so, what makes up the bulk of that 70? And obviously, it shifts, and it makes sense. So maybe there's some duplication.
Yeah, we have people at the bottom. So there's the warming tent with food at the bottom. There's also a really amazing timing setup at the top, because we're clocking the racers as they come in and out at the bottom. We're also making sure that they are checking in and out at the top, so they're getting their lap times also. So there are people that, man, they carry this massive tent up there. Our husbands and for other really skilled people. They like break things out into different packs, water, food, a stove or something up there for them to keep warm.
Yep, disco lights.
Fuel, disco lights, horns, bells, whistles, all the things. They have to haul that up, Malins. It's hard enough for me to haul myself up, Malins, and they haul that up. And then you know, if you're doing a shift up there, you're hiking up, and then you've got to have clothes to stay warm for 4 hours, and then get back down. And then, some people helping with timing. You've got volunteers checking people in, in and out, all the setup, the tents, the heaters, the lights, the course.
They pull like a generator up there?
No generator. They just, Tara, this is your game. You do so much behind the scenes setup. You take a turn.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's such a labor of love, though, because this is how you give back.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have $1,000 to throw at a charity, but I've got 1,000 hours, and I can do more. Can do my part. Yeah. And just a lot of web setup, social media stuff. I think it feels like a concierge scenario with our awesome volunteers. We have some volunteers that will go run and then stay around just to volunteer, just to be a part of the day, which is so fun. And we try to make it an environment where we're not dependent on certain swag, like, oh, you're going to get a T-shirt or things like that, right? Like it's not like that. Yeah. It's about what we can give back, or even we have a lot of businesses that want to partner with us, which is great. We'd love if anybody locally wants to jump in and help out. We'd love to have you, but it's not about their ROI. It's not about their return on investment. It's about what they're giving.
Sure.
And that's kind of where we're at this point. We're heavily supported by Patagonia, which is super generous on their part. They're kind of an angel donor, main sponsor, and they do a lot for our program, which might I say too, Ogden isn't the only event. Like we have 7 races now, whether it's Salt Lake, Provo, Ogden, Missoula, Denver, Seattle, and one in Moab.
Awesome.
And we're growing. We're going to have some internationally by the end of this year, and others in the West, all in locations that have issues with air quality, where local communities are raising money for local charities that hopefully will provide support. And that's really our focus. We're not out there trying to raise a brand and make income. That'd be nice, but that's not our MO. Yeah. And it's really about making a difference. As cliche as that sounds, like I think we really can, because as athletes, we depend on the ability to be outside and to train through the winter. And it's a detriment if we don't have that kind of clean air. And so last year, when we had a lot of clean air, I knew it was because we raised a lot of money the year before.
Because you ran your asses off.
Yep. No, just kidding. It's always a thing, right? It's always a thing.
Well, thank you for being such an inspiration and for doing everything that you do in this town. Tara, you're amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shannon, thanks so much. It's a great race, but if nobody's timed,
Yep.
How do we know?
I always say I am a good time, so it kind of goes with like the time,
She is.
Tara's the boss, and then I'm just like the good time.
The good time. Clearly, you guys have seen that.
That is fantastic. Todd, what do you got?
Oh, I'm just still smiling from the other. Upcoming. Same 2 exhibitions down at Finch Lane Gallery, but do make sure you come check it out. Roots Art Collective and Mercedes Ing. I think we are down to the final 3 weeks on that. And so I am on the pushing for our next 2 exhibitions. That will be for, the first of next year. I can't believe 2025 events are already starting. So anyway, if you don't make it down, swing by, say hi.
Sure thing.
Cool. Thanks again to Salt and Hops for supporting the program here. And thank you to Banyan One. That's for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. Listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our website, thebanyancollective.com. I was talking about if people use websites the other day, and apparently they do. So that's good. We also have a Podbean app for Android and iPhones. If you want to be on the show, you can DM me at Ogden Adventure. If you found value in this podcast, you can just give us all your money. Just as easy as that at buymeacoffee.com/banyan. Have you tried that option yet, Tara?
That's
Just
a great
asking people to
idea.
give you
I
all
love
their
it.
money.
Yeah.
Buy me a coffee. So far, it hasn't worked for us, but
No?
Keep trying.
we're
Keep trying.
welcoming those donations. Yeah.
Coffee's getting better.
Coffee's getting better. Buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. This is the last podcast of the year for us for this show. So thanks you guys for being on.
Congratulations.
Thanks America for
Awesome.
being on the program
No
as
problem.
well. Todd, we made it. Another year for Ogden Arts and Adventure. We're doing this since 2010.
Next year's a big year for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear. So we're going to take you out with a song called Decade by Kenai, Reyna, rapper out of Ogden. He's awesome. You guys heard him or listened to him?
It was a fun performance.
Is it part of the Osmonds?
He is opposite of
Lesser,
Osmond.
lesser known Osmond.
Lesser known. Yeah, so this is as recorded on Van Sessions at the Monarch, and we'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. Good night, everyone.
I've been dreaming of a fantasy with green leaves, silk sheets, never was a spilled drink. Figure we could spit heat, built a bunch of money, thought the real necessity was how much a check would be. How come that isn't me? How come you're telling me that's the only way of life? You ain't living differently. Figured I could be the guy to show you how it's meant to be. Free of all the things that try to keep you at the bottom when you know you wanna thrive. I can feel you touch the sky, but only nudge, nothing much. Still deep beneath your pride, so am I. Reflecting everything this mind detected in between the line. Connected with my inner mind, ignorance within this mind, sinning while we flipping down, busy making women mine, encrypted with the inner style, inches from another mile, make it to the finish line, assume we get the crown, but instead we get a smile, and I'm chiefing on my tree like I might have a wow, caught up in these lies sometimes, waiting for the flow to shine, I know it's not my time, it's slowly going by, and my patience running dry, but I find a peace of mind, but it's seeping deep inside, going elsewhere, the self-care was sitting on the shelf then, vanished like a rabbit in a hat to chasing carrots, A to B in 0.23 seconds flat. Couldn't catch if my reflexes were the status of a cat. Rat chasing, it's amazing how life works out. Picture perfect in the end. Turns out it is what it is. So tell me what gives you. Telling me the things I can't get through my head, but think I will eventually. But even there, I'm guaranteed I cannot expect a thing out of this. I will not accept a thing out of this. I cannot. Am I a king or am I out of this? Do I achieve or am I proud of this? No fears. Give me 10 years, yeah. Many more tears for the pain disappears. So maybe you gon' be the greatest in the fucking decade. We can see who made it with, yeah. No fears. Give me 10 years, yeah. Many more tears for the pain disappears. So maybe you gon' be the greatest in the whole decade. We can see who made it. Look, take on my knife and I carve my name on the side of your rib as a finisher. Swerving your chin in the button mash game and I fuck it up, champion. So let's support when I couldn't keep going. I figured the finger that's up in the middle. You get the idea. If you want a challenge, I'm bringing the magic. You see what happened when people that made it up, people who died. Shrouded in mystery, hitting the hit for me, tripping them people, defeating to give with me, giving my work and I'm spending my energy. Rather just kill them all, leaving the grace to crawl, put them in grace to fall to the bottom as I go set the bar. Any more people that say that the greatest are taking away, so prevented the rose from growing. How do you know where you're going when your potential is filling the blossom? Looks so scary, taking it in bed, thinking of Matthew McGarry that hold a machete and making it sweaty and really for killing like metaphors. Red hair when the blood pours, good man, what you fuck for? Sit down, you should rap more. My boys could attack y'all, jump in the bush like I'm Rengar, humping your girl like I'm Hefner, rapping as fast as a NASCAR, but a long way from a rap guy. No fears, give me 10 years, yeah. Many more tears for the pain disappears. So maybe you gon' be the greatest in the fucking decade. We can see who made it with, yeah. No fears, yeah. Give me 10 years, yeah. Many more tears for the pain disappears. So maybe you gon' be the greatest in the whole decade. We can see who made it one time. No fears, give me 10 years. Many more tears for the pain disappears. So maybe you gon' be the greatest in the whole decade. We can see who made it. Yeah.
Damn.
Little chill box.
So good.